Thanks for joining us for City Council Comments. I'm Steve Erickson along with Councilmember Brad Johnson. Today we're talking about both the September 6th and our September 20th City Council meetings. Welcome here.
Pleasure to be here, Steve. Thanks for having me in.
Yeah, and actually we're filming this the middle of Thursday morning. What is it? Today is September 22nd. Today is the first day of fall officially.
I could feel the chill in the air this morning. So
that starts tonight. So we're actually technically in the last moments of summer. And with fall comes the election, and we're in an election year. So general election is coming up here in just over a month.
Right. We have 3 races here in Coon Rapids. We have 2 city council members that are going to be elected, and we have the mayor's race is up. I think it's Ward 3 and Ward 5. Ward 5 is my ward. I'm not running again, so there are a couple of new candidates for that. I'm running for a different county race. So I think early voting starts on September 23rd, which is this Friday, and then we have the general election on November 8th.
All right. So City Hall will be open, regular business hours. You can come in and vote. Right now they just take them and it puts them in an envelope, right? And you can't put them in the machine quite yet. That's about a week before the election. That's the direct balloting. But you can come in. They have stations set up to vote, to fill out your ballot, and then you can drop that off.
Yep. And any questions that anybody has out there, just call City Hall.
All right. And then mnvotes.org has a lot of the information as well. And you can also go to mnvotes.org to get your absentee ballot mailed to your house if you would prefer to do that. All right. Let's move into our council meeting. We had 2 meetings, and both were fairly short, but let's talk about some of the topics here. One of the first items we wanted to talk about, kind of a fun one here from our September 20th meeting, Council approved a waiver of a fireworks display license fee for the Coon Rapids Community Strength Foundation. And I don't recall that we've ever had winter fireworks.
We haven't in the past, but we had such a successful tree lighting last year that we decided to do it again. And there will be fireworks. So that event we expect to be an annual event in Coon Rapids, and it was really a nice opportunity to bring the community together.
Yeah, so the tree lighting will be happening again this year in December 6th, is that the correct date? December 3rd.
December 3rd, I think.
Saturday, December 3rd, 3:30 to 6 p.m. at Boulevard Plaza, which is on the grounds of the Coon Rapids Ice Center. That was fun last year. It was a bit chilly, standing out there a little bit, but they had the fires going and had some refreshments.
And there will be things to warm your hands. We had some fires out there. There will be cocoa and things like that for people. It was a nice time for people to come together.
Yeah, and of course Santa was there as well, so I imagine he'll be back again this year. So fireworks will be a nice addition to that event. Council adopted a resolution accepting a DWI grant from the state of Minnesota. This is something it seems like we do every fall or thereabouts.
Yep. That's right. Every fall we apply for and generally receive a grant from the state of Minnesota to increase DWI enforcement. That's just obviously one of those public safety things that we want to pay attention to in Coon Rapids, and the Coon Rapids Police Department appreciates the support from the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, and this is a dedicated officer that patrols for DWI violations?
That's right.
Okay. So we're getting this again. Council also adopted a resolution appointing a new member to the Historical Commission.
That's David Eney was appointed to the Historical Commission, and so welcome, David, and we look forward to his service on that commission as well.
Yeah, and often we can't do a lot of the city business without all of our commissions and the volunteers, and there are often vacancies on those commissions. So if you're interested, go online and fill out an application, and they'll keep it on file, and then when these openings come up, they'll call you up.
Exactly.
All right. Moving forward, Council adopted an ordinance. This amends City Code Chapter 5-200 relating alcoholic beverages, and specifically is this growlers?
Yeah, it's increasing the size of the growlers and when people can get them. So our local tap rooms, our microbreweries can sell growlers, and it's really a customer-driven kind of ordinance change that we wanted to put into place so that our businesses, our local businesses, are able to be responsive to their customers, and we keep them here in Coon Rapids instead of having them go out to other surrounding communities.
All right. Is this something because something was passed at the state level that we're mirroring, or is this just a change? I don't recall.
I believe it's a change that's mostly responsive and customer-driven, but there may have also been something that allowed us to expand that with the state.
Yeah, okay. Moving forward, another item, this one we know did come from the state. This is an introduction of an ordinance regulating cannabinoid products. These are also known as THC edibles. This came out of the last legislative session.
Yes, in our last legislative session, the legislature basically legalized THC edibles, but there was no regulatory framework and no local ordinance framework that was provided to the cities. Our city and some others want to get out in front of this issue so that people understand what the rules of the road are as it relates to THC edibles. For example, THC edibles are prohibited to be sold to people under the age of 21. And there are other restrictions that are in there. And I would encourage people that if they have any comments on this issue to contact City Hall and share those comments. They can email those in to council members or they can email them into city staff. But the reality is that THC edibles are legal under certain circumstances in Minnesota, and we need to create expectations for how they're going to be regulated in our city, including how we're going to try to keep them out of schools and out of areas around schools.
Yeah, and out of children's hands, because like when you look at a lot of the images of these products, they look just like candy or other things that kids would eat.
We had a long workshop on that, and I think the council expressed to our city attorney when they were drafting this that we want to be vigorous in the enforcement of prohibiting THC edibles from really becoming a problem in our schools, and we also want to, frankly, deter THC edibles from being used by children in any way. Obviously, we know that's a huge risk, or a huge ask, but I think the council is concerned because when the legislature passed this new law that legalized THC edibles, they did so without any real guidance to the cities or the counties as to how to enforce some of their provisions in the law. And so we're setting forth our rules, and people can comment on those, and we will look at enacting this ordinance sometime soon, but we can make certain changes to the language if need be.
Yeah, because this was just an introduction of the ordinance. It will come back to council for formal adoption, likely in October or November.
Right.
All right. Moving forward, council considered a proposal and a standard agreement for contract services. This is with Blum Technology for AV equipment installation. This is at our new fire station number 3, which is under construction over off of Mississippi Boulevard.
Right. So our new fire station is state-of-the-art, and we want it to be a long-term investment for the city. And part of that is that our emergency communications will be done out of that fire station, or a significant part of that, and that means we need a rather robust AV equipment and other things involved in that fire station. So that station will also be used for a lot of training, both Coon Rapids training, firefighter training, and also regional fire training as well. So we think that's a necessary part of having a station that we can use into the future.
All right. And if you haven't driven by there lately, the walls have been going up, and a lot of the stuff, progress is being made. And we got an update from the police chief last night, or Tuesday night during the council meeting, saying that they're on track at this point anyways to be done in June of 2023.
Right. Chief Piper, the fire chief, I think indicated that as long as we keep getting stuff, everybody I think in the community understands the construction pipeline and construction supplies. It's very tenuous right now. As long as we can keep ordering the stuff that we need, it will be completed on time.
Yeah. People know that too if they go to the grocery store or the stores.
Or Menards.
Yeah, supply chain is still an issue.
Right.
All right, moving forward, council approved a letter of an intent with the National Sports Center. This is relating to the ice arena out there, correct?
That's right. So people might recall that way back in 1997-ish or around that time, the city of Coon Rapids invested $500,000 at the time in the National Sports Center and that ice center that's over there. The benefit to the city of Coon Rapids was for the Coon Rapids Youth Hockey Association. We got priority ice time. We had our own dedicated rink, and we had hours that we could use over there. That has been of value to the city and the city Youth Hockey Association. And under this letter of intent, we would be looking forward to having, I think it's up to 325 hours of ice time dedicated to the city of Coon Rapids. The investment that it would take to get that would be about a $300,000 investment that we would be putting into the ice center in two kind of parts, one in January of 2023 and the other half of that in January of 2024. And again, this is a letter of intent so that they can move forward. Yeah. It's not a full and final deal or agreement yet, but this is what the city is expressing its intent to do going forward so that we can preserve those opportunities for youth hockey playing in Coon Rapids.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's still a big demand for ice time.
Right.
And they were giving the partners that were part of this original pact first sort of priority. And if we reject that, there are others in line to take that time.
And even though we have our own ice center, we don't have enough ice sheets and ice time to be able to fill all the needs of Youth Hockey Association.
Yeah, especially during those peak times. All right. Well, that was all the items we had from our September 20th council meeting. Moving back to our first meeting of the month, which was just the day after Labor Day. We kind of started off that meeting with a fun ceremony, and we welcomed a new firefighter and 3 new police officers. And I should say that the firefighter isn't actually new.
Right, no. So the firefighter is Jason Harbinson, and he's a recognizable face to anybody who's connected to the fire service around. But he's now a permanent firefighter in Coon Rapids, and so we welcome him on in that capacity, and he got his new badge. Yeah. And then we pinned essentially 3 new police officers: Kelly St. Martin, Alexander Barrett, and Justin Denwitty. Yeah. And I know the police department is very excited with them as candidates and their enthusiasm for the job, and they think they are really going to be a good fit for the city of Coon Rapids. And the council had an opportunity to meet with all of them, and we think so too.
All right, and the officers have done their, by the time they get their pinning, they've done their field training or are close to being done with that.
Right.
And
they all receive their permanent badges.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Moving forward, council approved a memorandum of understanding with the Anoka School District for police department support. This relates to our school liaison program, correct?
Right. So we have school liaison officers that are connected to the high school and the middle schools, and they do the DARE program, and they also are there as a resource for children when all kinds of issues come up, whether that be public safety or service-related issues or child protection issues. They're there as a resource for both the school and the children. And we have enjoyed a long-standing relationship with Anoka Hennepin, and this is just continuing that connection to the schools with our police department. So we think that's a good thing all the way around.
Yeah, and this is also part of the DARE program that they do in the elementary schools.
That's right.
All right. Council approved a contract for water tower design services. Had a little bit of discussion on this project at the meeting.
Right. I mean, it's expensive to build a water tower, but as some of our surrounding communities know, if you're not able to provide probably what is the #1 service that you need to be able to provide your community, which is good, clean, reliable water, you're going to be struggling as a community. So we have an old water tower in my ward. It's along Foley near Northdale, and it's not able to operate at full capacity for all sorts of reasons. Part of that is design, part of it is infrastructure. And we've gotten reports, frankly, over the last 8 years that we really need to retire that water tower. And so the question is when and how and where. And the council picked a new site down further on Foley Boulevard near the Park and Ride. And we want to begin construction of a new water tower down there so that we can provide better and more reliable services to the city of Coon Rapids. Now, it's a lot of money to build a water tower, but it, again, like a fire station, it's an investment in both community resources but also public safety, because you need water to put out fires, you need water to take showers, you need water to water lawns and things like that. And frankly, right now, we're at risk for not being at full capacity. And we have an old water tower that's really not one that we can depend upon much longer in the future. So we have to plan for it now.
Yeah, and it sounds like if you did, that one needs a lot of repairs.
Absolutely. So, you always have this kind of balance when you're a city council member. Could we fix the thing that we have versus building the new thing? And when you're talking about a multi-million-dollar repair job and then putting that money into a brand new tower where it would not need the kind of repairs, or it would be much more reliable in the future, I think the council, in balancing that, and there are people on different sides on this, but in balancing it, has decided in favor of building a new water tower.
All right, and the water tower that would be built would be somewhere in the vicinity of the new Foley Park and Ride, or I shouldn't say new, the Foley Park and Ride lot?
Yeah, by the new Foley Bridge. So
by the old Foley Park and Ride.
There's a lot of stuff going on down there by the Park and Ride, and including the new bridge that's there and the new exit ramp that we're getting off of the 610-10 extension, but also this water tower would go in that area as well. All
right, and again, this is just for the design services. Council has yet to approve actually the construction of the water tower. All right, Council adopted a resolution establishing the preliminary 2023 tax levy, and kind of shifting gears here, but some of this money for the water tower is actually in the budget for next year.
Yeah, and a lot of the water tower expense would be paid down the road from water rates and the water fund. But in terms of the levy, this is a hard year for a lot of people. It's a hard year for people in the community who are experiencing inflation. We as a city are experiencing inflation too. And we're also, a lot of our budget is our employees. And we're also experiencing a rising and increasing markets and market rates for employees, whether they be police officers or firefighters or other staff in the city. And we want to maintain and recruit the best talent we can have in the city of Coon Rapids. So when we looked at the budget this year, the initial proposed budget that came to us included a request from city staff and our city manager for a little over 9% of an increase, which would be the highest increase we've had in a long time. Part of that is driven by the fact that we were so frugal during COVID, I think where we had a 0.8% increase, that the state decided to decline to give to the city of Coon Rapids over $1 million in local governmental aid. And so we have to make up a little bit of the difference in what we plan for there. And when we had a workshop on this, the city staff said to us, there are areas where we can give and take, but some of it will result in compromising services. Council wants to limit the impact on doing that, and so we asked the city staff to go back and decrease the number, and they got to about 7.5%. So what has been proposed and what the council has approved as a preliminary levy and budget is a 7.5% increase. That's not necessarily the final increase that we'll have. We can vote on that later, I believe in December, but it's in the neighborhood of what we're proposing for the budget that we need this year to continue to maintain service to our community.
Yeah, it's tough. You're seeing a lot of communities come in with the higher amounts even. I've seen 15%.
Right.
So
I've even heard of over 20% in some communities. And those are a lot of those communities are ones that have lost the local government aid and have big infrastructure projects that they need to do as well. We're kind of in the middle on that.
All right. So we'll be hearing more about the budget. Like you said, the final budget and tax levy will be adopted in December. Again, it can't be raised at this point. Your 7.5 is your top, but it can be come down from there.
Right.
All right. Stay tuned for more on that. That is all we had from our council meeting that we wanted to talk about there. Before, I don't want to end on a sad note, so let's talk about this police officer from Anoka, right? That he passed away.
Yeah, so Officer Eric Grubner passed away unexpectedly last week, and it reminded many of us in Coon Rapids of Officer Greg Koss, who died a couple of years ago unexpectedly. Officer Eric Grubner's memorial service was yesterday, and it was in the city of Anoka. And he was a person who was well respected and known, not just in the city of Anoka, but also, and by community members in the city of Anoka, but also in the law enforcement community. Coon Rapids and other surrounding agencies like Ramsey provided support to the city of Anoka and their police department so that they could all come out and mourn with him. And there was a big final patrol for Officer Eric Grubner yesterday that went along Main Street, and really the entire community poured out for that. Many surrounding agencies from Coon Rapids and the Sheriff's Office and virtually every other police department in Anoka County, but even outside of the county, came to express their support. I did receive a call yesterday from Councilmember Brian Wesp from the Anoka City Council, and he wanted to express his gratitude on behalf of the City of Anoka, not just to the Coon Rapids Police Department, but also the citizens of Coon Rapids and their support for Officer Eric Grubner and the Anoka Police Department. When you look at it, when it's not just that a police department loses a friend and an officer, it's that a community loses them, because really our officers become someone who the community relies upon every day, and they build those relationships that extend out into the community, and you can really see that on display. So our hearts and minds go out to Officer Eric Grubner's family, his children, the Anoka Police Department, and all those friends and colleagues that he knew over the years. But I can just say that from my own standpoint and from the standpoint of the City of Coon Rapids, we're very proud of our community and how they supported their police departments.
All right, like you said, so sad, and yeah.
Yeah. But he leaves behind a wonderful legacy, and he leaves behind a wonderful example that we can all strive to live up to. So we look forward to that.
And it's great to see the community rallying around his family and colleagues.
Yeah.
All right, shifting gears, let's talk about Fire Department Open House. We have that coming up here in just over a week.
We do. This is a fun event that all the firehouses will be open, and people will be able to come out. And
this is actually in the park.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, we've done. This is the second year where we're going to be at Sand Creek Park.
So thank you for the reminder, because I've gone to so many of these things over the years that I've had fun walking through the fire departments. This is where we're going to have a bunch of events. Bring the family out to Sand Creek Park, and also bring the kids out. They'll get an opportunity to interact with the fire department, to climb all over the trucks, and to spend a good time there. Yeah,
and the way they did it, they did this first last year, kind of coming out of COVID. We did not have open houses the previous year, so they did this at Sand Creek Park, I think, just to be more spread out and outside, and they liked it so much last year that they decided to do it again at this location at Sand Creek Park. And it is nice because previously you had to go, if you wanted to see the different demos they had, they would have a cooking demonstration at one station and maybe a helicopter land at another. Well, now they can have all that at the same event, and people can see all of it.
At one space, you're right, that you used to have to kind of bounce from one fire department to another fire department to see the different things. So this will be good.
Yeah, so come on out Saturday, October 1st from 10 to noon at Sand Creek Park. And then we have another event coming up at Sand Creek Park a couple weeks after that, which is called Rocky's Pumpkin Patch.
Yep, there will be free pumpkins for kids if they want to come out for that. And it's another great event. And Sand Creek Park, which was just redone a few years back, has become this location where many of these events are happening, and it's really a nice place. There's a lot of good parking. There's a concession stand that's there, and it's just a nice space for these events. So you'll have Rocky's Pumpkin Patch there, and we've had other events. We just had on the September 11th time the Veterans Softball Tournament that was there as well. So.
Yeah, that's a huge event. So
come on out.
That park turning out nice with all the modifications that were made there in the past couple of years. So again, Rocky's Pumpkin Patch will take place Saturday, October 22nd, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Sand Creek. It says there'll be giant slide, face painting, inflatable obstacle courses, and again, free pumpkins for all the kids. So should be a lot of fun going in. I can't believe we're talking about fall events.
'Tis the season.
It is, and we were already talking about the Christmas tree. So hey, that'll be here before you know it as well.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come in, Steve. I've always enjoyed it. I feel sad that this may be my last council comment, but I've enjoyed serving the community of Coon Rapids, and I look forward to doing other positive things in the future.
Yeah, so I mean, how have your years on the council been? It'll be 8 years, right?
8 years, yeah, two full terms. So I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed getting people's calls and following up for them and being a voice for them in the city, and nothing quite gets you to know a community as well as serving on the city council. And so, I encourage people when they're thinking about the election this year to research the candidates and to pick up the phone and call them and talk to them. That's what you'll be able to do in the future when they're serving you as a council member. So.
Yeah. Is there anything you're most proud of with your time on the council as far as what you've been able to do? I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah.
Or something you wish you could have done?
So when I got on the council, there was a lot of concern about Coon Rapids Boulevard and redevelopment along Coon Rapids Boulevard and our trails and things like that. I think the thing that I'm probably most proud about, though, because we've had some improvements along Coon Rapids Boulevard, and I frankly think the city looks and runs better today than it did 8 years ago. But I think the thing that I'm most proud about is the way that the council works together. We all respect each other and everybody's different temperaments and talents and backgrounds and perspectives. And we come together in these workshops and we talk collaboratively about things. And we may disagree on one thing or another thing, but we all try to do what's right for the city in our own minds and for our own constituents in our own wards, or if you're the mayor or the at-large member for the city at large. And as a result of the way we've been able to communicate positively with each other and trade ideas, I know I've changed my mind on any number of things, and we've gone in a different direction. And I know other council members have listened to me respectfully, and they've changed their minds. And I think that's been a good thing for the city, because we ultimately are all working for the city's best interest and for the best interest of our citizens. So I wouldn't say there's any one project, but when we get things like a request from our police department to say, hey, we want in the budget a social worker to work with us so that we can do a better job policing, we then find a way to get that to happen. Or if they want a substation in Riverdale because they want to be able to respond to crime quicker and they want to have a presence there, we find a way to get it done. So I think the collaboration and the positive focus of the city council is the thing that I'm most proud of playing a part in.
All right. Well, that's a good note to end on.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming in today and talking to us about our meeting.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you at home for watching, and we'll see you back here again after our 2 meetings in October.